When I became a husband, I did more than put aside childish things. I learned that love was more than just an emotion. It involved action. Love is a decision, and marriage, more than a rite of passage. I realized you shouldn't date until you're ready to marry, because the burden of past relationships is too heavy for any man to carry. A woman is a treasure to be loved and protected, not a trophy to be placed on a mantle. If the gentle breeze is divorce in America, marriage is the candle. You see, your house is built of straw and your foundation of sand. The answer's not within you, because like me, you're a flawed and fallible man. Our divorce rates are so high because our daily mortality rates to self are so low. But when you trust in Him, He turns our broken yesterday into a hopeful tomorrow. He takes our hopeless future and turns it into a peaceful present, and our sinful today into a cleansed past. But before I became a husband and before I became a man, God's will for my life was contradictory to my own plan. Prior to meeting the woman of my dreams, I went through a season of severe depression. Each and every night, God brought me to my knees and called me to confession. But I locked up my heart and I gave the enemy the key. I sought the world's medication, a life filled with alcohol and revelry. I was on a path to destruction, and God gave me this one simple life instruction. Until you stop living for yourself, I won't trust you with anyone else. And that's when I turned to the book of Job. I told God this was his last chance. I put him on the hot seat and started the countdown. I read and wept through the pages, looking at the turmoil and strife in Job's life. He lost his job, his children died, his property burnt up, and his wife told him to curse God and die. And he rebutted in his simply profound way. Shall I accept good from God only and not evil? And the truth came alive, and I saw that God restored everything to Job tenfold, and he didn't sin once. I realized in my own life I finished the race, but I failed the test. But I remembered he cast my sins as far as the east is from the west. So I started emulating the one and only perfect husband, the only one worthy enough to marry the church. And I cast away my past and made the scriptures my sole meditation, because everything else in this world left me in a drunken sedation. There was no cure psychologists, alcohol, or friends could bring, only self-glorification. But now, I seek the Lord without hesitation. I dumped all my treasures at his pay station, only to find that the greatest gift he ever gave me was salvation. Finally, when I thought the trial was over, a hand reached out to me, and that hand was actually grace. A gift given to me though I didn't deserve it. But this was a little different. Grace had a beautiful face, and Grace was a Southern Tennessee belle. And Grace looked great in cowgirl boots. But I didn't know that Grace was going to come and bring hope to my life. And I didn't know that this Grace, this amazing Grace, would come in the form of a woman that God called to be my wife. When I became a husband, I became a servant. I became low so I could lift you up. And if you're ever down in the dumps, I'll take you higher than a 757. Because looking at your face is like peeking through a keyhole into heaven. And holding your hand is like God gave me a glimpse of the perfect love that Adam and Eve experienced. I didn't know he'd trust me with his most precious inheritance. The very thought of you is intoxicating. Call me love drunk. No wonder God said, a wife of noble character is worth far more than rubies. Because piles and piles of rubies couldn't tip the scale against your beauty. I will love you and thank God each and every day for trusting me with his finest treasure. My love for you is beyond measure. The splendor of gold and diamonds pale in comparison to the purity of your heart. because God made you perfectly from the start. When I became a husband, I learned I love you was sacred. And it comes with a promise that I won't ever intentionally hurt you. I will respect you and love you with a love that makes you forget every other guy that burned you. Now I'm the richest man on earth because I'm in love with a woman of virtue. I could tell you I love you in 1,000 languages just to get the point across. But if the scriptures are true and going the extra mile means I love you, call me Hermes because I'll run a marathon. When I became a husband, I learned that before I get down on one knee, I need to get down on two. I gave my life to Jesus first, and now I give it to you.